You're probably wondering why this is here, and also why I'm filming vertically. This is a floor corker, and it's part of a recent haul of mine. Unfortunately, a friend of mine, his grandfather passed away. His grandfather was a mead maker, and this guy sold me all of his grandfather's mead making stuff, including this floor corker. But it's a little wobbly. I might have to tighten that screw at the bottom. I've never actually used a floor corker before. I've always used a hand corker. But I'm gonna be excited to try this. It needs a bit cleaning up. It's wobbly, and this little piece is bent. I think, is it supposed to be bent? Is that supposed to be bent? I think it is. But yeah, you put this on the floor, you put your bottle in it, it grips a hold of the top, and then you, as well as this giant floor corker. I also got 2 cases of flip top bottles. I love flip top bottles. They're the best kind. You don't even need that floor corker. And a glass carboy with a weird thing on top. And some buckets. Now buckets aren't really a long-term investment because they're abrasive. Little scrapes and scratches get inside there. And those little scratches are havens for bacteria and germs. So I don't think I'll be using the buckets to make mead, but I'm sure they'll come in handy at some point. And a bag of one-step sanitizer. I've never used one-step before. I'm a Star San type of guy. But since I'm out of Star San, this will come in mighty handy. So the star of the show, the best part of this whole haul, and the reason for today's video, way back when honey. I'm not sure exactly how old it is. It's somewhere in the range of 5 to 15 years old. Now all of this stuff came from my friend's late grandfather. And he was a mead maker. And I thought it would be a really nice thing to use all of this stuff and the way back when honey to make mead. The last mead made with his late grandfather's equipment and honey. Now I'm not saying his name because I haven't got permission to say his name. All this is going to be a secret. I'm going to put this mead together. I'm going to make this mead, give him some bottles of his grandfather's last mead, and yeah, it's going to be a surprise kind of thing. So I don't want to ask him if I can say his name or put a likeness of his grandfather in memory of. I might do that sometime in the future, but for right now, he won't find out about this until the mead is ready. He's not really a mead maker kind of guy. So he doesn't watch mead videos. I don't think he watches my videos. So he probably won't see this until the mead is ready, until I call him and say, hey dude, come over. I got something for you. So let's do it. Let's open this honey and turn it into mead. So here we go. 15-year-old honey. Let's open her up and see how it looks. Smells like honey. Oh wow, that smells like molasses or treacle almost. That smells so good. I wonder what kind of honey it is. Oh, this one's not open yet. This is a brand new pail of honey. It's a dark honey. I wonder if that's buckwheat honey. It smells a bit bitter. Do you see? Let's get a spoon and taste this. Oh, that tastes so good. I kind of want to save some of this and use it for, I don't know, just for eating. I just can't stop eating this stuff. It's so thick and awesome and wonderful. I've almost changed my mind about making the mead. This is just, I want to eat this just like this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna seal these honeys up and then immerse them in some hot water and let them soften up a little bit better. That will they'll pour easier, you know? So as we all know, step one to any home brewing project is sanitizer. This time we're using one step. Never used this before, but I'm sure it's just as good as Star Sand.
The principle is sound. To avoid illness, expose yourself to germs, enabling your immune system to develop antibodies. I don't know why everyone doesn't do this. Maybe they have something against living forever.
It says 1 tablespoon per gallon. It's got a little measuring thing inside there. I'm sure that's 1 tablespoon. Yeah, 1 tablespoon. So let's make about 2 gallons of sanitizer and then we'll get to it. Okay, so let's get to cleaning our carboy. There's a ring of stuff around the top here. That's normal. I'm just gonna use my handy dandy bottle brush to get it out. Handy tip if you're trying to get the edges of a carboy but you just can't reach, take your brush and bend it in half. Well, it's raining outside now. I wonder if my camera will pick that up.
One day, it started raining, and it did.
Okay, so this is gonna be just a basic traditional mead. I'm not sure if I want it sweet or dry just yet. I'm not typically a fan of dry mead, so I'll probably stabilize it and back sweeten it just a little bit. And it's our typical normal recipe, except with EC1118 instead of the Y yeast. We're gonna add the honey, in the water and check the gravity. I'm shooting for 1.140, but I don't really care what the gravity is. I'm gonna check anyway, but I don't really care. I'm gonna put all that honey in here, top it up with the water, and we're gonna see where it goes from there. I didn't make a starter of the EC1118 this time, so I just rehydrated 2 packs of yeast. It's sitting over there now. I put 1 tablespoon of Go Firm and 2 packs of EC1118 mixed up a little bit, and that's gonna sit there for a while we do all this other stuff. And then when we're done, we're gonna pitch that. We're adding all the honey, all the water, 4 teaspoons of Fermento, 2 teaspoons of Fermate K, 1 teaspoon of potassium carbonate, and that's it. And as usual, we're adding 4 more teaspoons of Fermento on 48 hours and 96 hours. Day 2 and day 4. Okay, so let's get to it. Probably want a funnel for this, don't I? I wonder if this funnel will work. Give it a little dip in some sanitizer. Okay, this tub has 7.5 honey written on it, and the other tub has 10 honey written on it. So I'm assuming that's the weight. So this is probably gonna be 17.5 pounds of honey. Let's see what kind of a starting gravity that'll give us. Oh yeah, it's a little less thick now. Will it go? Oh, it will go. This honey has almost solidified in there. It's like a hot, solid chunk of stuff. I might have to spoon this in there. Is it going? Yeah, it's going. I wish I knew what kind of honey this was. I want to say it's buckwheat honey, but I don't normally like buckwheat honey, but this stuff is wonderful. It may be buckwheat honey. Okay, let's pour some more. A big solid mass of it. I wonder if that solid mass will pour through. God, look at it. It's like jello, jellified.
Just give it up, Eric. It's not gonna work. Just get to the cooking part already. But come on.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna heat this honey up and try to melt all those crystals. Let's see how that works. This is what happens to honey after it sits for a long time, and it almost turns solid. So we're just gonna put all this in the pot. See how it's all. It tastes amazing though. Now, I don't really want to make a boucher with that's a mead made out of a cooked honey. So I'm just going to heat this up just enough so that just enough to melt those crystals. Melt all that crystal stuff. As usual, I don't want any honey to go to waste, so I'll probably pour some water in there, mix it up, try to get every last little bit of honey. Now we're just going to heat that for let's put on medium low. And we're only going to heat this long enough to melt all those crystals, that's all. I don't want to go into a boucher this time. Do you hear that storm outside? Is the camera picking it up?
No. We can't hear the damn storm, Eric. Focus on the honey, Eric!
Now it's very important that you keep on stirring this. You don't want to scorch the bottom and not heat the top. So keep on stirring. I wonder if it's even necessary to melt all these crystals. I wonder if it'll mix up in water and dissolve, you know? I kind of doubt it. No, my luck it won't. Keep on stirring, keep on stirring. It's slowly starting to return to liquid now. Just keep stirring, just keep stirring. Okay, so our honey has been decrystallized. Well, for the most part anyway. And the good news is it should pour very, very easily now. So let's get it in the carboy. Yeah, that's a nice and easy way to pour honey. I should heat honey more often. Now I'm gonna leave this pot ready because I'm sure that I'm gonna have to do this with the other pail of honey. But first, let's get a little bit of water in there. Get that mixed up in something, you know? Oh, I should have left that funnel in there. I want to try and get every little bit of honey out of those containers. So let's see if this is a good idea or a bad idea. Okie dokie, and in you go. That's a nice little way to clean the pail out. You know, I think this will be an easy way to add all those nutrients. 4 teaspoons of fermented oat, 2 teaspoons of fermented K, and 1 teaspoon of potassium carbonate. We call it K-carb. Let's get all this mixed in and poured in. In it goes. Give that a bit of a mix up. Get all that mixed together, shall we? Let's see how our other bucket of honey looks. I wonder if we'll be able to pour this one. This one is not crystallized like the other one. It smells different too. Let's see. It might be crystallized down inside there. We'll see once we get to the bottom. See how this one tastes. I really wish I knew what kind of honey this was. Yeah, and the bottom half is crystallized. So I'm gonna cut, do this one just like I did the last one, and I'll come back and we'll add it all together. So our second pail of honey is ready. Pours so easy when you heat it up like this. I wonder if that little tiny bit of heating will affect the flavor at all. We'll find out in about a month. This honey is so good. I think this is the best tasting honey I've ever tasted. I wish I knew what it was though. I hope the mead is as good as the honey. It's my favorite part. I'm using that pail to pour more water in. I keep on telling myself I'm gonna buy a long length of tubing, like some racking tubing, to attach from that itty bitty water faucet all the way to here. So I can just turn the water on and fill it up. But I always forget. Join the Discord and remind me to buy that friggin' tubing. Let's see where our gravity stands from right here, and we'll see if we want to add just a tiny bit more water or if we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to worry about sanitizing my tube or my hydrometer because I'm not pouring this back in there. I'll probably just drink it. 1.120. I actually wanted it a little more than that, but 1.120, that's not too bad. Okay. Floor's wet. Okay, 1.120. I'm gonna be happy with that. I wonder if I should let that cool down a little bit first. Let's install our airlock. Oh, you know what? Screw it, it's fine. One more thing, I almost forgot. My super oxygenator. This is an oxygen tank bought from Home Depot, and it's got an oxygenation stone on the end of it. So we're gonna dip that down as far as it'll go, and we're gonna give it a little bit of oxygen. That's a lot of oxygen. And we're gonna let that sit for is this what my fermentation is gonna look like? I wonder if that's too much. So crystallized, if you're watching, maybe you could tell me exactly how much to open this thing. Dude, do I just want to barely let some oxygen there, or do I want like a bubbling inferno of oxygen? Trying to shoot a video on the dogs be barking. Shush! Yeah, we're gonna let that sit for a minute or two. And there you go. Oh, there's no carry thing on this. Why didn't I realize that before? How am I gonna move it now? Oh well. Well, there's one more mead for the closet. Made with 15-year-old honey. I'm gonna let this ferment dry. I'm most likely gonna stabilize it and back sweeten it. Don't forget your nutrient additions. At 48 hours and 96 hours, add 4 more teaspoons of Fermento. Both times. 4 teaspoons at 48 hours and 4 teaspoons at 96 hours. And yeah, I think this is going to be fabulous. You know, I might, after fermentation is over, I might add maybe 1/8 of a cup of lemon juice just for some acids, you know? We'll just maybe bring out that flavor just a little bit. So yeah, I'm real excited about this. Thank you for watching.